Suns accomplished a feat they hadn't done in over a decade: back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances. For a franchise searching for their first championship, this Phoenix squad looked legit, destroying opponents with their revolutionary offense. Led by Coach of the Year Mike D'Antoni, the Suns' offensive philosophy relied on running at a breakneck pace, draining threes, spacing the floor, and getting a quality shot within 7 seconds or less. The man conducting the show in D'Antoni's running gun offense was point guard Steve Nash. Nash's superb court vision and ability to facilitate made him the perfect player to orchestrate D'Antoni's system, a system that earned Nash back-to-back MVP honors. Alongside Nash was Amar'e Stoudemire, a young high-flying forward who could run and jump for days, and Shawn Marion, nicknamed the Matrix because of his amazing athleticism. When Phoenix couldn't get past the San Antonio Spurs in the 2005 postseason, they attempted to shore up their roster, signing sharpshooter Raja Bell. And in what looked like a ballsy move, Phoenix also traded Joe Johnson, who was one of the team's best players, to acquire unproven forward Boris Diaw in return. Under D'Antoni, Diaw blossomed into a true positionless player, earning most improved honors, notably filling in for Stoudemire, who missed most of the 2006 season due to a knee injury. Even without Stoudemire, the Suns were a phenomenal squad, but they missed his presence in the postseason when they fell to the Dallas Mavericks in the 2006 Conference Finals. Back at full strength, entering the 2006-07 season, it looked to be the Suns' true moment.
I appreciate
Whether
the
it was
follow.
running the floor and catching lobs from Nash, or making opponents look like children down low, Stoudemire was back like he'd never left. Besides knocking down shots with his weird-ass shooting form, Marion shined defensively, providing the Suns with the versatility to guard positions 1 through 5. Bell continued shooting lights out from 3 and played hard-nosed defense. With Johnson gone, D'Antoni turned to Leandro Barbosa, who added more firepower off the bench, winning 6th Man of the Year. The 2007 Suns posted a 17-game win streak, running teams off the floor en route to snagging the number 2 seed in the West. Phoenix cruised through the first round, setting up a conference semifinals matchup with the Spurs. A win in Game 1 would preserve home court advantage and put Phoenix one step closer to returning to the Western Conference Finals by beating the team that ended their title hopes a few years ago. As the series tipped off, Phoenix was battling in a tightly contested game until their chances of winning took a huge hit.
See, I think this is probably their best chance at getting a title. If the Spurs, if the Suns players wouldn't have gotten ejected this game, I don't think that they would have lost that series against the Spurs, and they probably would have made it to the finals. And what, this is in 2007?
Literally.
2007, I think. Yeah. Whatever year the Spurs, I think it was 2007 where they faced the Cavs. I think any single team in the West would have probably beat the Cavs that year.
Yeah, so your nose is not supposed to look like that. Up until late in the fourth quarter, Nash kept the Suns within striking distance to snatch the lead. After tossing a turnover, Nash butted heads with Spurs guard Tony Parker while attempting to slow down a fast break. Having a bloody nose is one thing, but the man looked like he just caught a right hook from Mike Tyson. Phoenix's medical staff patched him up to stop the bleeding, and after play resumed, both teams got back to work on the scoring end. Crooked nose and all, Nash showed he wasn't fazed. He drilled a clean 3 to tie the game up at 102, and then later hit a clutch layup to soften the Spurs' lead to 2 with 1:13 left to play. That layup was his last opportunity to help his team. Down 2 with under a minute to play, Nash had to be benched because his nose just wouldn't stop gushing blood. As he sat, the Suns couldn't match the Spurs, who snatched a pivotal game on the road. Nash felt helpless, but knew there wasn't much he could do. While I'm sure San Antonio was ecstatic with their win, Spurs forward Robert Horry wanted to beat the best team and acknowledge the Suns weren't the best without Nash. Phoenix and San Antonio went on to split the next two games, setting up a crucial Game 4. In a game that went down to the wire, the Suns fought back from a fourth quarter deficit and controlled a 3-point lead with under 20 seconds to play. Looking to foul, Horry must have forgotten about the whole idea of feeling validated by beating the Suns at full strength, because he hit Nash with a smooth hip check that sent him flying into the scorer's table. Tempers flared as Bell got into Horry's face, and a few members of the Suns left the bench to protect their teammate. Phoenix got the win to even the series, but hurt their chances to advance in the process. Stoudemire and Diaw left the bench during the altercation, and due to NBA rules, they were suspended for Game 5. NBA Commissioner David Stern wanted to emphasize player safety after past brawls that occurred throughout the league. Both Stoudemire and Diaw played vital roles for the Suns, and because of an arbitrary rule, they couldn't compete in Game 5. Without their presence, the Suns fell in a tight game. Whether it was the fatigue kicking in or Phoenix losing their groove, San Antonio closed out the series in Game 6 and went on to win the NBA championship. That year's trophy could have just as easily been the Suns. The winner of that series was essentially a lock for the finals after the championship favorite Mavs got bounced in the first round. Once the Spurs made it through the outmatched Utah Jazz, San Antonio comfortably swept a young LeBron James and a random assortment of players that made up the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. If it weren't for a badly timed nosebleed or an extremely nitpicky league ruling, that year's championship was Phoenix's for the taking. While that season posed an excellent opportunity, the Suns were ready to run it back the next year. The franchise made some changes immediately, starting off with a big move in the front office. Steve Kerr spent time as a consultant after joining a group to purchase the organization in 2004. But now as an inexperienced GM, Kerr was tasked with improving a team on the cusp of a championship. In his first move, Kerr signed veteran forward Grant Hill on a bargain deal. The Suns hoped that Hill could add more scoring to an
See, like at this point, I think George Hill was really past his prime. I don't know if that was like a good move by them to trade for George Hill.
already stacked offense to put them over the top. In an effort to clear cap space, Kerr also traded a package including veteran big man Kurt Thomas. Thomas had provided the Suns with length down low and was a key defensive anchor for an undersized team that struggled with handling bigs. Clearing cap space and shipping off Thomas were both signs that the Suns wanted to make a run at the biggest target of the offseason, Kevin Garnett. The Suns were on KG's preferred trade destination list, and Phoenix came close to landing him, but the Suns simply didn't have the funds to pay him. Despite striking out, they still returned the main core of a roster that dominated offensively the past 3 seasons. While their core was still intact, they weren't all necessarily happy. Before the season started, 4-time All-Star Shawn Marion wanted out. Nonetheless, the Suns began the 07-08 season with Marion still on the roster, and they got back to regularly scheduled programming. Heading into February, Phoenix held the best record in the Western Conference, but Kerr decided it was time to switch it up. As a career-long Suns player, Marion was frustrated with the franchise's unwillingness to extend his contract and was fed up with hearing his name in trade talks. Phoenix granted Shawn Marion's wish and swung a blockbuster deal, trading him for Shaquille O'Neal.
That was probably their biggest losses, was losing Shawn Marion, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he fit so well with that team and could do so many different things that, like, trading him for aging Shaq definitely was risky, and it did not pay off.
Initially, the trade drew mixed reactions. Marion was a reliable scorer and a core member under D'Antoni's system that emphasized speed, while Shaq at nearly 36 years old was known for slowing the game down and demolishing opponents in the paint. Kerr acknowledged the risk of changing the Suns' blueprint, but felt that adding Shaq would benefit the team in the playoffs. Phoenix had struggled heavily with interior defense and rebounding the ball, often miscasting Stoudemire as a center. So Kerr felt that adding a large presence inside could help combat the big guys in the West while allowing Stoudemire to play his natural position. There were growing pains fitting Shaq in the lineup at first, but when he got in his groove, he proved his worth against the Western Conference's top competition, like the Spurs. And lucky for Phoenix, they had a chance to get sweet payback against their playoff nemesis in the first round. With the addition of Shaq, the Suns showed they could handle the Spurs during the season, and experts favored them in this series. In Game 1, the Suns were on the verge of stealing home court advantage from their longtime bully, until Tim Duncan, who hardly ever pulls up from deep, nailed a three to send the game to double overtime where the Spurs survived. Despite Phoenix nearly grabbing a Game 1 win, the series wasn't really close. Shaq was brought in specifically to deal with players like Duncan and offer rebound support, but Duncan had a great series and Phoenix got out-rebounded in every game except for their lone Game 4 win. To make matters worse, remember our old friend Kurt Thomas? Well, he was now a Spur and also gave Phoenix fits defensively. The Suns once again failed to get past the Spurs, a team that Stoudemire was sick of, but vowed one day they would beat. If that were to happen, it wouldn't go down with how the team was currently constructed. Less than a month after the San Antonio series, Mike D'Antoni accepted a head coaching job with the New York Knicks. In Phoenix, he delivered the best winning percentage of any Suns coach ever. D'Antoni's coaching style was highlighted by a potent offense that took the league by storm, but his vision of how the team should play didn't align with Kerr's. To replace D'Antoni, Phoenix hired former Detroit Pistons assistant coach Terry Porter. While relatively unproven as a head coach, Porter had developed the Pistons into one of the top defenses in the NBA. Filling the role for a team with championship aspirations comes with big expectations, and it didn't take long for Terry to feel that dry desert heat under his seat when he was asked if the team would win the championship at his introductory press conference. A team that in the past could at least be...
I feel like they would have they got really close, but the Lakers and the Spurs were still better. And like maybe if they would have, I don't think the coaching was the issue. I think it was just the talent. Like there wasn't enough talent to outclass the Spurs.
counted on to drop a shit ton of buckets, now had no identity whatsoever. As they transitioned
At this
into
point,
more of
yeah.
a half-court offense under Porter, the team looked lifeless. Especially Bell and Diaw, who thrived in D'Antoni's small ball lineups, but grew frustrated with their diminished roles under Porter. Nash publicly blasted his teammates and admitted that the team was in a dark place when they hit the quarter mark of the season. Responding to the poor transition under Porter, Kerr made a deal with the Charlotte Bobcats, parting ways with both Bell and Diaw. The two were clearly no longer happy in Phoenix, and because of Diaw's hefty contract, Kerr thought the move was necessary. In return for the two players, the Suns landed athletic swingman Jason Richardson. Kerr thought the team was sliding, and adding a scorer like Richardson would help take some of the pressure off Nash in the backcourt. He was still facing criticism over the end result of the Shaq deal, but landing Richardson appeared to be a steal to get the Suns back in playoff contention, so the deal seemed to be a win-win. Now, when it came to actually winning games, Phoenix didn't look that much different. The Suns continued to sputter under Porter, going into the All-Star break where they trailed the 8th seed by 1 game. It also didn't help when Stoudemire was ruled out for the rest of the season after suffering an eye injury. Deciding to make another change on the fly, Kerr fired Porter and promoted Alvin Gentry. Gentry was the only holdover from D'Antoni's staff and promptly said they would go back to the system that brought them so much success. It just didn't happen immediately. For the first time in 5 seasons, Phoenix failed to make it to the postseason. Kerr may have made the switch a little too late.
Crazy.
With Gentry named as the coach going forward, the first major move of the offseason was trading Shaq. Dealing Shaq was a move for fit purposes, but it was also a bit of an admission that the initial trade compromised the team's identity. Phoenix showed no intentions of a rebuild when they extended their playmaker Nash and re-signed Hill, but the team had yet to show any signs of their future plans regarding Stoudemire's contract. Stoudemire was entering the final year of his deal and was out to prove his worth of a max contract. Although Stoudemire had shown how dominant he could be, Kerr was wary of Stoudemire's injury past. Kerr even nearly dealt him in a 2009 draft deal, looking to snag a top 10 pick that he would have used on Stephen Curry. The deal never went through, and with Stoudemire still in Phoenix, the team surprisingly started off scorching hot under Gentry's revamped system that emphasized rhythm rather than playing at a breakneck pace. Going into the All-Star break, Phoenix's defensive issues became more apparent as their hot start quickly cooled down, and Kerr was ready to make another mid-season move. Stoudemire had been named an All-Star starter, but Kerr once again began shopping him around the league.
They thought peanut butter whiskey
Bro,
was
skip
crazy.
that.
To them, we say, screw it. Nuts? We must be. Delicious. Yup. Screwball
Skip
peanut
that,
butter
skip
whiskey.
that, skip that, skip that,
Unexpectedly
skip
delicious.
that.
Caramel. Cookies.
Skip that, skip that,
Valenti,
skip
raise the
that.
jar.
While a trade
Hey.
never panned out, it propelled Stoudemire to play unconsciously as he led the team into the 2010 playoffs. The Suns defeated the feisty Trailblazers in the first round, but if they wanted to return to the Western Conference Finals, their trip once again would have to make a stop through San Antonio. Coming into this series, experts favored the Spurs and their playoff history against the Suns. But Phoenix shoved a huge middle finger in history's face and swept San Antonio, earning a trip to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2006.
That year, I think that was probably one of their best years. Like 2010, that's a crazy year for 7 seconds or less. And unfortunately for them, they ran into back-to-back Kobe. So I don't think they were gonna beat that team.
3 months after the Suns were willing to trade Stoudemire, he led the team in points to close out the series. Instead of celebrating a victory against a team he vowed to get past, Stoudemire calmly walked off the court after the win, knowing there was work still to be done. This version of the Suns looked different in the postseason. Yes, Phoenix wasn't the greatest defensive team, but Spurs head coach Greg Popovich noted they were much more active and committed to their defensive assignments under Gentry. Throughout the season, Gentry blended the coaching style of D'Antoni and the defensive mindset of Porter to make the Suns a more well-rounded team. Going into the Western Conference Finals, they had to continue executing on both sides of the ball because they were due for a battle against the reigning NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers. Phoenix didn't back down from the Lakers and entered Game 5 with the series tied, setting themselves up to snatch a win on the road. In a close game, the Suns' chances of winning looked slim when they faced a 3-point deficit with under 10 seconds left to play in the fourth. That was until Richardson banked in a deep three to keep the team alive, and you could feel the momentum shifting in favor of
Jason
Phoenix.
Richardson was
With
so
the clock
clutch.
ticking in the final seconds, and the Suns just one stop away from sending the game to overtime, Kobe Bryant airballed a shot, but teammate Ron Artest
Crazy.
fought for the rebound and put back the game-winning basket to take the series lead. That putback shocked the Suns and crushed the team's spirit, leaving them to walk off the court in disgust as they watched the Lakers celebrate. Phoenix fought hard on their home court in Game 6, but the final nail in the coffin came from Kobe drilling what looked like an impossible fadeaway shot.
Of course
right
it was
in the face
Kobe.
of Grant Hill. Like, how do you defend that? At the top of the season,
You
no
can't.
one predicted the Suns would do any of this. But in their locker room, they knew their team was special. Their season was a remarkable success, but media experts felt like that was their final shot. Stoudemire's contract situation still loomed, but he was excited about the thought of returning to the Suns to continue building the hype that the team brought to the city. Only if it came with a max contract though. Owner Robert Sarver said he didn't mind spending the money as long as he got the return on his investment, but the thought of Stoudemire eventually needing another operation on his left knee concerned him. Stoudemire's agent was set to meet with Sarver and Kerr, but before Kerr could make a decision on Stoudemire's future, he stepped down as GM. After 3 short seasons, Kerr dipped and shot down any talks of contract disagreements. With Kerr gone, Sarver wasn't prepared to pull out the checkbook, which led to Amar'e Stoudemire opting out of the last year in his contract, then signing a deal with the Knicks, reuniting with his former
All this time, Leandro Barbosa was still on the team. Bro, it really is the GOAT.
coach. Shortly after closing the chapter on Stoudemire, the Suns dealt their longtime bench playmaker, Leandro Barbosa, leaving Steve Nash as the last man standing. Phoenix rode a roller coaster of emotions, from the top of the Western Conference to tweaking their system and falling flat, then returned to a revamped model of D'Antoni ball that brought them back to title contention, only to give up on their main core of Stoudemire and Nash after just 1 full year under Gentry. Over the next 2 seasons, the Suns as we knew them started to crumble. Nash was still in control of a team that wanted to run the floor offensively, but he took a step back, and without any of his past co-stars, the product just wasn't the same. The Suns had acquired plenty of good players, but as Nash got older, he no longer had a star counterpart who could help carry the team. They never had a strong defense, and as their offense took a dive, they became a middle-of-the-road team and missed the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. If they wanted to get back on track going into the 2012-13 season, they would have to do it without their leader. On July 11, 2012, Phoenix traded Steve Nash to the Lakers. Whether it was multiple ill-timed injuries or a series-changing suspension, these Suns couldn't catch a break in the playoffs. It also doesn't help when the front office squanders numerous opportunities to construct the right roster needed to fit the system. The organization was indecisive on whether or not they wanted to commit to the D'Antoni style of play, wasting a full season of the team's talent in the process. Sarver was also a cheap-ass owner who refused to retain top talent in free agency, and the front office didn't plan for the future when they repeatedly shipped off multiple draft picks. Besides wasting numerous opportunities to better the team on the court as an owner, Sarver presided over a toxic franchise that allowed alleged acts of racism and misogyny for multiple years.
Crazy.
When this group of Suns players faded away, so did the organization's aspirations of winning, as they collapsed under mismanagement and poor drafting in the years that followed. Although this Sun squad never won a championship, they're far from being considered a failure. In fact, they helped establish the blueprint for how the game is played today. You can see elements of it in Golden State under a familiar face, and there were years of
That is low-key true. Like, the Rockets and the Warriors kind of play like the Suns a little bit.
similar hope in Houston with D'Antoni taking over the reins. So while they never got it done themselves, the lasting impact that these 7 seconds or less Suns had on the NBA is undeniable.
W video.
Wait, you finished watching the video? Go ahead and press the like button. We got more videos on the way too.